So one more of my favorite movements to practice learning how to extend with the triceps rather than pressing with the pecs. So what I have here, a couple of bands attached to the bench here. These can be affixated to the floor. Just depends on your setup in the gym. So what I'm going to do is lay down. I'm going to grab the opposing band with my opposing hand, right? So I'm going to lay down here. I'm not mobile, so. All right. Now, depending on the strength of the band, you can choke up on it, grab it down more. I'm going to achieve my bench press width right here, about my approximate grip on the bar. Without moving my upper arms, I'm only going to move my hands and my forearms. I'm going to bring them in. Now notice how my upper arms are staying in place and extend. Okay, I'm not coming in here like this with the upper arms. They're going to stay out flared like a real bench press. Bring the forearms in, the hands in, extend out. Bring them in, extend out. Now I can do this. I can choke up on the bands to make the tension even harder. I can grab thicker, heavier bands to do this movement. Just one more piece to add to your arsenal on learning how to extend in the bench press. So I'm just wearing a belt to keep my belly from showing. Cool. So I'm going to talk real quick about leg drive and what we call back pressure. So what I'm going to do when I lay down, every lift, even the bench, starts from the floor. Okay, just like a squat or a deadlift. So I'm going to lay down. So what I don't want to do is push straight down into the floor. What that's going to cause is the exact opposite force. And brace a little bit here. My ass is going to come up. If I push straight down to the floor, ass comes up, and that's a bad lift. So again, pushing straight down, that's what happens. So what I want to do, the entire duration of the lift, before the bar even leaves the rack, what I'm trying to do, and I'll show if I set it further down the bench, I want to use my lower body and actually push towards the wall. If I was attached to the bench and wanted to scoot across the floor, I need to push that way. So I'm going to do, set up in front of the bar and push as hard as I can while keeping my ass in contact with the pad. And push myself up the pad using my lower body drive, causing back pressure. Now I can push as hard as I want with my legs without my ass leaving the pad, because again, that could turn down a lift in the competition. So this is called back pressure. And actually, I can use Tom real quick. So just lay down, but start kind of like down. He's your fellow, like, yeah. Yep. Okay, so Tom here is going to demonstrate another little drill I came up with here. So he has an invisible bar in his hands, simulate a bench. Okay. Now what he's going to do, I'll put my hands on his shoulders. I'm going to have him push my fists without his ass coming off the pad. So go ahead and start pushing me. Push harder. Push more. There we go. See how he's moving up the pad? He's pushing. Now that's what he needs. So if he had a barbell in his hands, that's going to push him down into the pad and keep him from sliding up the bench. Now what also helps is if you have Marucci baseball bat spray on the back, because no amount of chalk is going to keep you from actually sliding. Like, it's a good idea, but sticky spray is better. So again, one more time. So we're going to set up. Just keep your ass down and push as hard as you can. Drive more. And there you go. Keep pushing. That's it. That's good. Okay. So this can become, and should be, a full body lift, as is squat and deadlift. The bench press is a full body lift.
As we are completely approved torture of Jimmy Kolb is going to continue here with some exercises that we're going to go through to try and help with some of the ailments that he's got. So the biggest thing for him is getting forearm pain. Obviously, he's spending a lot of time gripping really high amounts of weight, which is putting a huge amount of tension through his forearms and his elbows. So he's having a problem a lot of the time, either whilst he's benching or after he lets go of the bar, with residual tension in his forearm causing tendonitis. So what we set up here is a pair of dumbbells with fat grips. Fat grips are ideal here because that means his hands can stay in a less clenched position, which means his forearms can stay longer. And what we're going to have him do is a Zottman curl on an incline. And the goal of this exercise is not to train his biceps or his forearms particularly, but what we're going to do is do this in a manner that allows him to stretch out his brachialis and his forearm flexors so we can alleviate some of that tension. So Jimmy's going to grab these dumbbells. Now, you really don't need a lot of weight for these at all. He's got 10 pounds here. I think we were doing number 15s yesterday. So Jimmy is going to start with his hands down by his side in a hammer grip position. So his hands are neutral and then he'll be down by the side. That's it. So what he's going to do from this position then is he's going to curl them up to the top of a hammer curl. That's it, when you're ready. Now, what we do from here is we're going to rotate the hands and the dumbbells as far as this way as possible without moving the elbow. And then what we're going to do is lower them. And the whole time that we're lowering them, the goal is to keep the upper arm still and keep rotating this way as much as humanly possible. So if you do that nice and slow for us now, as he's extending, the whole time he's trying to rotate out here. And what we're doing now is stretching out through this forearm here and through his brachialis, crossing the elbow joint here. And he's going to go until he's able to lock the elbow. Then he's going to let the arms drop, stretch them out a bit further. And then he's going to come back to a hammer grip and then curl back up and do the exact same thing again. There. And then he's going to pronate his hands as far as humanly possible. And again, the whole time you're going down here, you want to be trying to pronate and rotate out this way as much as humanly possible and not letting this upper arm move because that'll give us the best stretch and relief through here. That's it. And the slow eccentric on this is really crucial for making it more effective. So make sure that you stick with that also. Just one more first, Jimmy, if you don't mind. That's it. Back to hammer grip. Now, if you don't have fat grips, you can get nearly as good of an effect by putting your hands over the dumbbell over a thin handle with a thumbless grip. That will allow you to mimic a similar position with the pronation without the fat grip. And again, twist. That's it, until the elbow is locked. And then just let it drop down nice and slow. And perfect. Thank you. So that can be a really good exercise for you that suffer with tight forearms or tendonitis in the elbow that's originating for the forearm, especially from heavy benching. Okay, so the second exercise that we're going to go through with Jimmy here is a loaded stretch on an incline curl. So the other problem that Jimmy's having is that he really struggles to supinate his hands. So when he's trying to deadlift or anything like that, he can't get a supinated grip on the bar. And big part of this reason is because he's stuck in internal rotation from the shoulder, the lat, and the pec minor, but also the biceps to some degree as well. So what we can do is a loaded stretch with the incline curl in a supinated position that allows us to open up his chest and shoulder and stretch the bicep all at the same time. How you would perform this is basically either for sets of about 1 minute at a time, or you would aim for 2 to 3 minutes of total time under tension. Now, what's really important is that this isn't a passive stretch. This is an active exercise. So you don't just let your hands hang by the side. You're going to actively supinate as much as humanly possible and pull them back as hard as you can so that you're creating muscular tension in that position so your body knows that it's safe to actually create tension in that position and put the joint in that range of motion. So Jimmy's going to sit back on the bench here. He's going to put his hands into the best supinated position that he can, lock his elbows, and then actively pull the dumbbells back behind him, okay? So this will be his position now that he is trying to exaggerate throughout this whole time frame. Just bring your hands in a bit closer to your side. There you go. Now pull. Now, as his mobility gets better, the goal would be able to do this on a progressively shallower and shallower incline because that would allow him to be able to get his hands further back. Now, if you want to add difficulty to this, what you can do is, we'll just go on this side here. You can add a manual overload during it. So every, say, 10, 15 seconds, you have a training partner just lightly apply pressure here for a couple of seconds. And then what Jimmy has to do is create more tension here, fighting against the pressure that I'm putting there, which sends a stronger signal to the body that this stretch position is a safe position in which we can create tension and we are safe to go into. But again, if you're doing it without that, the whole time Jimmy is going to be rotating out here hard as he can and pulling back. Now, if he did this for, say, 2 to 3 minutes, breaking it up into 4 or 5 sets, that would be perfect. He could either do this at the beginning of his bench press session to help him open up or before his deadlift, or he could do it at the end to help alleviate the tension that's built up during his session. There you go, brother. Thank you, man. Till next time, guys.